Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today you may have noticed we are not in the fish room. Why? The fish tank behind me, the hang on the back canister filter finally went down after a few years, and so we needed to replace that filter. So in this video what we're going to be doing is we are going to be unboxing this. This is the Seachem Tidal 35. It's a newer filter that's come out from Seachem. It's a little bit smaller than the ones that they've done previously. So we're going to unbox this, we're going to set it up, I'm going to give you my initial thoughts, so stay tuned. Now, if you're interested in purchasing the filter, want more information, I have an Amazon affiliate link down in the description below. Definitely check that out. So we've actually unboxed a Seachem filter before. We unboxed a Seachem Tidal 55. I like that filter quite a bit. It's been filtering a 40-gallon breeder that is jam-packed full of bristlenose juveniles and some imbunas, and it's done a really good job. So when this filter behind me, when the filter on this tank behind me broke, I needed a new one. I immediately thought, okay, let's go ahead and see if Seachem has anything for a tank, a 20-gallon like this. The smallest filter that they had to hang on the back was the Seachem Tidal 35, and so I figured we'd give that a try. Now, open up the box. Got directions that we don't need because, well, we just don't need them. Let's go ahead and see what we've got. So, empty box here. And so here we've got the filter housing, and inside of that we're going to have the cord that we're going to need to plug everything in. And we open up the lid and we have a bag of biomedia. So this is going to allow us to house some bacteria for biological filtration. And then if we were to go ahead and look at the filter compartment, this is very similar to the Seachem 55, where inside we have a sponge and it's pretty much shaped the same way, and that just kind of rests down in here in the filter compartment. Now, what's missing from this filter that's usually present on some of the other ones is the fact that there is usually a notch here that kind of holds us into place. That doesn't appear to be the case. That's fine. This thing that generally locks in pretty good. Okay, so initial thoughts. When I look at this filter and I compare it to some of the other ones, one thing I really like, and it's a minor complaint that I had about the Seachem 55, is there were some blue dials and some blue things that were on the filter housing itself. When you put it in the tank, they really stood out. That is not the case with this filter. Yes, this part here is blue, but that's outside the tank, as well as this brace down here. But it looks like everything is dark and it's going to basically blend in with the back of the tank. That's a good thing. The other thing that's kind of interesting about the Seachem Tidal line is this filter housing, the motor is actually submergible, so it's a self-priming filter, which means you don't have to fill the back up before you start the filter. As long as your water line is higher than this part here, the intake, it's just going to suck it right in. That's been a big advantage for a Seachem 55. I suspect it's going to be an advantage here for the Seachem 35. So really, when it comes to a filter, it doesn't get much more simple in terms of assembly. After you pull this filter bag out, you've got the case that goes right in there. This stuff, this is the filter media. You would take this out of the bag. Now, I generally don't use this, but it is good stuff. And so all you have to do is take this out of the bag, rinse it out so you're not getting powder all over your fish tank and making the water cloudy, but rinse that out, put that right in here. Now, if you were going to use filter floss, ideally what you'd probably want to do is put the filter floss in first and then put these bio rings on top, of course, outside of the bag, and then you're ready to go. Now, one of the things that we've done with our Seachem filter, one of the complaints that you'll sometimes hear with the larger filters is that as the water comes in, sometimes if the filter media gets a little blocked, it kind of misses that and goes through an overflow. With this filter, what we have done is we just generally use filter floss, but put it in vertically instead of horizontally. So we don't pack it like a sandwich. We just kind of lay the filter floss in vertically, and I'll show you how we do that in a second. And that's been working really well. So the stuff gets caught up in that filter floss. It's easy to remove. You just take this thing right out of here. You can. The nice thing is the filter lid. You can just take this out, rest it on here like this, bring it over to the sink, rinse stuff out. I highly recommend when you maintain the filter, also make sure you rinse out this sponge, because when you do that, these things run really, really well. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean. When it comes to running just about any hang on the back filter, I very, very rarely ever buy specialized filter media just for the filter itself. This is a piece of filter floss. You can get this in bulk online. I have an Amazon affiliate link down in the description below. If you want to get some of this, it saves a lot of money. You can just cut this to size. And then what we do is we just take this, place it right in the filter compartment just like that. You could put 2 pieces in here if you wanted to. And then every week or so, we'll pull this out, change it out, and we really do a good job. Then this will do a really good job of mechanical filtration. One thing that I noticed that may be a problem for some, if you are breeding fish, and those fish are tiny, If you look here, there's really not much of an opportunity to use an intake pre-filter sponge. So we've got kind of like the surface skimmer here, and then really there's no, you can see here, there's really no long intake. You've just got these slats here. So if you had fish that are breeding, one of the things that I've noticed in our 40-gallon breeder with our bristlenose is sometimes they will actually go in where that surface skimmer is. We find them in the filter compartment sometimes, and we just have to dump them out back into the tank. Maybe if you have things like guppies or some type of small fry that are near the surface of the tank, they might wind up in here. So it's something to keep in mind. If it's a breeding tank, this might be a disadvantage. If it's not a breeding tank, it's just a tank that you like to look at, that's not going to be an issue. It's not something I would worry about. All right, so once you've got your filter floss in there, it really is just a matter of go ahead and put the top back on. The nice thing is here we've got an adjustable flow, and it shows you the more you turn it to the left, the more the flow you're going to get. So that's kind of nice. And then the other thing that you'll find is that there's a little blue dial here. When that raises up, that kind of tells you that your filter media is full. Again, we maintain our filters just about every week. So we just change out the filter floss, rinse out that sponge real quick, and these things have been running really, really well. The other thing that I like about the Seachem line is that they have been extremely quiet for us. So they're very reliable. They've been quiet. Because the pump is submerged, we don't have to worry about filling up the back first. It's been a pretty good filter. So let's go ahead, take a look at what it looks like when it's on the tank. All right, so this is actually going to wind up being a hang on the side filter for us because we have a rock wall in the back. You can see here, I didn't have to put any water in the compartment. It just sucks it up right from the side there. And we are running. It's looking good. No problems. Again, this is a relatively quiet filter. The tank itself is not set up great for a hang on the back filter. It was always meant to be a canister filter kind of hidden behind the rock wall. But since that filter went out, we're going to go ahead and just throw a hang on back filter. Again, I really like these filters because of they're quiet, they're reliable. Let's go ahead, we'll turn this thing and see what the flow looks like. So now we've turned it down, and you can see we've really reduced the flow. So you saw it coming out pretty strong. This is a 20-gallon tank. This is a perfectly acceptable filter for a 20-gallon. Let's go ahead and turn this up a little bit. And we can see here we're getting a lot more flow. So it really depends on the type of fish that you have as to how much flow that you require. But again, this is a 20-gallon high, and it's going to work out just wonderfully because we can adjust the flow. You can see the fish are responding to it well. So I think we're going to have, this will be a good filter for us. It's high quality. It's going to do a good job. Now let's talk a little bit about the cost, because that's a big consideration when you are thinking about buying a new filter. This is not a cheap filter. The Seachem line is probably one of the more expensive hang-on-the-back filter lines on the market today. The filter that you see here, that Seachem 35, was right around $36 at the time of making this video. So it's a little bit of an expensive purchase. If you're comparing that to, let's say, an Aqua 30 on Amazon right now, they're right around $28 or so. If you want to go on the lower end for, like, let's say, a Marineland 150, they're going to be somewhere in the $16, $17, so half the price of a Seachem. So what are you getting for the money with the Seachem? I think the first thing is, again, you're dealing with a quiet filter. In my opinion, of the three, probably the quietest filter out there. The second thing that you're going to get is, at least in terms of what I've heard from users, what I've experienced myself, they are pretty darn reliable. The third thing you're going to have, you've got a decent amount of space in the back of the filter to maximize your filter, your mechanical, your biological filtration. You've got a lot of nice volume back there. So the other thing that you'd want to consider is the flow rate. The Seachem Tidal 35 has a flow rate of 130 gallons per hour. The Aqua Clear 30 is 150 gallons per hour, and the Marineland 150 is also 150 gallons per hour. The Aqua Clear and the Seachem have a distinct advantage, and that is their flow rate can be adjusted, where the Marineland it cannot be. When it comes to maintenance, if we were comparing the three once again, I feel like the Seachem is probably the easiest to maintain. Lifting that basket out of the filter is a lot easier. The Aqua Clear has a similar feature where you can lift all the media out, but because it's not a completely enclosed basket, sometimes the media can fall out as you're maintaining the filter. And the Marineland in this case would probably come in last place for maintenance just because there isn't a basket that you can lift out. You have to lift the filter media out completely from the filter itself. All three of them are very easy to maintain. It's just the Seachem is probably the easiest of the three. One of the other things that I really appreciate about the Seachem filters, much more so than the Aqua Clears, and even in some cases the Marinelands, is the fact that they generally don't quit working when the power goes out. And so we've had issues before with some of our aqua clears where the power just flickers, the filter shuts off. That's happened a couple times with the Marineland, but not very often. The Seachem, that has not happened yet, and we put them on some very heavily stocked tanks. I would love to hear from you if you have experience with the Seachem Tidal line. What was your experience? Was it great? Was it bad? One of the things that we really like here at Primetime Aquatics is we don't want my word to be the final word. If you want more information, check out the comments below. See what other people are saying. If they've had these other filters, Marineland, AquaClear, Seachem, if they liked them, if they had issues, what were they? For us, the Seachem line has been really good. I would love to hear once again from you in the comments section below. What is your experience with these filters? So if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.